Heck, it's gonna sound controversial, but I'm gonna say it. You should not max out your TSP if you want to create massive wealth, or if you want to create more income while you're in the military or after when you have another W-2 job or whatever. If you want to create more income, or maybe even become self-employed after the military, and you want to become massively wealthy beyond what everybody else in the military kind of just expects or typically is looking forward to based off of their pension and their TSP. If you want more than that, the TSP isn't the solution, okay? And again, I know this is controversial, but listen up. I'm gonna get into some strategies on how to grow massive wealth, so listen till the end. All right, so let's think about this for a second. What is the benefit of the TSP? The benefit of the TSP is that it's tax deferred and basically tax-free if you wait long enough. Basically that right there is what is like the bait to make sure that you contribute money. So it forces you to save, which is inherently a good thing. And another cool thing about it is that you get matching. So I'll be the first to say, like 100% return, like if I put in whatever amount of dollars every month and then the government gives me the exact same amount, that's pretty solid. That's 100% return plus whatever the gains are because of the interest accrued over time, right? You know, whatever those stocks and stuff are growing over time, the G fund, the I fund, whatever it is, that is awesome. But anything beyond that, I think does not serve a military member if they want to truly accelerate their wealth. I truly think that the best way to accelerate your wealth while you're in the military is to A, use your VA loan and buy a house. And if you can, house hack, meaning buy a house that's big enough so you can rent out the other rooms, or buy a house that's a fourplex so you can rent out the other units. All right. Now, if you want to learn more about that, check out our website, activedutypassiveincome.com. For now, I'm just going to say that that is the solution. Okay. Now, back to the strategy behind why that is the solution instead of getting into the tactics. The strategy behind real estate is that you're basically creating multiple TSPs. Real estate in and of itself is a tax shelter. It is also tax deferred and potentially tax-free if you do it right. And if you're a smart real estate investor like our community is, everybody knows how to like work the tax situation and all that kind of stuff. Like that's how you play the real estate game. And so if you do that, it really is like getting another TSP. And so if you have a bunch of these, guess what the coolest part about it is you're not contributing to the TSP, or in this case, the real estate properties, the rental properties. Somebody else is. So, and you're like, whoa, what do you mean somebody else? The tenant, the person in the rental property is paying off your loan. So imagine if that rental property's value isn't changing over time, but slowly somebody's paying off the loan. Eventually it'll be paid off free and clear, right? So it's the same thing as it's like a reverse savings account. It's the same thing as a TSP, right? It's a forced savings account, except for you're not the one taking money from your pocket and putting it in there. That's a big deal. And if you have multiple ones like this, every single month you have multiple people living in multiple rental properties paying off your loan that is in your name potentially and making you wealthier every single month. That is a way faster way to wealth. Now, if the tax-deferred, tax-free stuff piqued your interest, there's other tax-related videos that I've made, so just check us out at Active Duty Passive Income's YouTube channel. You'll see that video. There's actually a few of them. Highly recommend checking it out. It's really how to make the money, but then not have to pay, you know, almost any taxes on it. It's pretty cool. Okay, here's the second reason why rental properties I think are better than a TSP. Well, not only do you have somebody else contributing to your like little retirement accounts, right? You're also getting to a point that if you actually run your numbers right, these retirement accounts actually might pay you every single month. It's not like a TSP where you can't touch that money. It kind of just gets loaded up in there forever till you're 59 and a half or whatever. If you run your numbers right, you could have potentially more rent coming in than all the expenses and even reserves. It could be 50 bucks, could be $100, could be a few $100s. Heck, it could be a few $1,000s if you buy the right property. And those dollar bills come to your pocket tax deferred a lot of times. And also you can do some strategies to make even those tax free as well. It's bananas. This is called cash flow. And all you have to do is you have to know how to run the numbers. The simplest way of thinking about it is you get rent and then you subtract principal, interest, taxes, insurance, property management, maintenance, vacancies, and reserves. That's it. And once you put that on a little spreadsheet and you learn how to do that and calculate that, It takes a little bit of practice, but practice makes perfect, and you're off to the races. Here's a third reason why I think rental properties are better than the TSP. The TSP cannot fight inflation. Guess what's gonna happen in 20 or 30 years? If you're like, oh, at this rate, I'm gonna have $1 million. Great, because $1 million is going to be worth half that in 20 or 30 years. Even if you're like, oh, I should have $2 or $3 million. Great, that's still gonna be worth half that down the road. And if you want to live more comfortably than depleting that slowly and constantly worrying about that number going down and down and down, you might wanna think about having other assets, or imagine you're duplicating your working efforts, and that being those rental properties, creating you more streams of income. That's how you achieve true financial freedom. Here's the fourth reason. It's kind of also because of inflation, but for this point I'm making, it's because real estate actually is a hedge against inflation. It can fight inflation amazingly. And here's why, all right? Now listen up, because this is a kind of confusing topic, but I'm gonna try to Barney style the heck out of this, all right? So, real estate is basically, imagine it as another currency, okay? We have dollar bills, well, we have rental properties. And the rental property, let's say it's a nice 3-bedroom, 2-bath, it's worth exactly what somebody else will pay for it. So basically the market decides. It's supply and demand. As long as the demand is higher than the supply, the price is gonna be steady or go up. Now, the price, let's think about it as not price, because when you think of price, you're thinking of how many dollars I'm gonna have to trade for this. Let's think of it as value. Supply and demand determines the value. Now, if the thing you're trading for that value is going down in value, so if the dollar bill is losing its value, so last year my dollar bills were worth $1. This year, compared to last year's dollars, they're worth like 94 cents, because inflation 12 months ago, over the last 12 months, was a total of 6-something%. So that kind of sucks, because now it means if a property out there that I wanted to buy didn't lose value at all because the supply and demand in that area remained constant and I want to go buy it, I have to now find more dollar bills to buy it. Does that make sense? If the thing you're going to trade for the other thing is losing its value, well, then you're going to need to come up with more of it, right? In this case, real estate and dollar bills. And that's why if you buy American real estate and you buy it in a good market where there's stable job growth and population growth and all this kind of stuff, you're basically insulated. Not to mention it's American real estate, okay? It's the best investment of all time. It's gonna continue going up in value. And so as long as you can hold on to those types of assets, guess what? You're always gonna win against the dollar bill's inflation. Now, let me just do a final little disclaimer here. I'm not saying do not invest in the TSP. A lot of us have other plans. A lot of us want to do 20 years. You're going to have a pension. You want the TSP because it's the easiest way for you to focus on your military job. And you're going to do something else afterwards. Maybe you're going to start a business after you get out of the military. That's your passion. That's how you planned your life. That's fine. There's no right or wrong answer on how you're going to plan your life. I'm just saying that if you really want to accelerate your wealth, those 20 years being in the military, if you spend at least a few of your PCSs buying rental properties or buying primary residences with your VA loan, 0% down, and turning it into rental properties, you're gonna be way ahead of the game. Look, the Federal Reserve did a study in 2019, right before the pandemic. They found out that those that are homeowners compared to renters at every single income level were about 40 times wealthier than those that were renters. So those that were homeowners were 40 times wealthier than those that were renters at every single income level. It's because real estate truly is the best way to create wealth in America. And so just think about that and don't put yourself at a disadvantage. Don't be scared away. I'm not saying the TSP is a bad thing. It's a phenomenal tool. The matching is amazing. 100% matching on, up to 5% of your paycheck or whatever it is these days. It's fantastic. I did that for a while, but now my primary focus is real estate because I just get the game better. I know that the dollars I put into real estate will give me a way bigger return, and I want to snowball that. I want to compound my interest on that because I'm not only compounding the value I'm creating with the real estate, I'm also compounding the income that real estate is creating me. Whereas if I only hope for compound interest in my TSP or in my stocks to create me the wealth I want, I'm constantly fighting against compound inflation. I'm constantly fighting against the dollar losing its value. And so that's why, again, if you're in the military or if you're a veteran, military spouse, family member, think about real estate. Check out activedutypassiveincome.com. This is Mark Sitch. I'll see you later.